How many of you guys have ever seen the Muppets show with the space? I'm trying to remember the name of it, but in the movie there's a song that says "You're a shining star, no matter who you are." Have y'all ever seen the Muppet show? That's one of my favorites, and so I have the DVD in my trunk, and I'm telling you, we wore that video out. I really love the song because you guys are a shining star. And I just want to let you know that despite your challenges, we are so very proud of you, and we appreciate you being here today. So anyway, we're going to start from my left and go down. So if you would introduce yourself.
Thank you. My name is Devon Formal. I am a rising sophomore at LSU. I come here today in hopes to bring about change so future foster youth don't have to endure the pain and hardships I had to go through in order to be successful. My two brothers, my sister, and I were placed in care on August 14th, 2013 due to poverty, my parents' midlife crisis, and their substance abuse. On April 15th, 2015, my parents had their rights terminated, which also meant I would no longer have any contact with my siblings, who were ages 8, 3, and 1. This leads to my first criticism of the system. In my case, my parents were homeless, but they stopped drug use and tried to get on their feet to get their kids back. However, the system failed to bring my family back together. It never helped my parents. By the time their rights were terminated, my parents had a house and had passed their drug test on their own, but they still lost their rights to us. If anyone in here has ever been homeless, you would understand how difficult it is to get out of homelessness. It's like falling in quicksand. If someone isn't there to get you out, then you'll most likely be trapped. The system failed at bringing my family back together. Bringing families together is not only better for them, but also keeps adoptive homes open for the kids who need them the most. I was happy to learn this week that the federal government and DCFS are directing efforts towards prevention and in-family services. I hope this helps kids and families in the future. My last point is to make sure you are aware of the lack of love and normality given to the teens stuck in the system. These teens are not bad kids, and they did not choose to be in their position. Being a teen is hard enough for any kid, and this age is extremely important in child development. Most foster teens have gone through horrible things only to end up in someone else's home who doesn't actually care about them. Foster teens have the most difficult and are the most susceptible of being knocked down the wrong path for the rest of their lives. These kids want to live a normal, happy life. When I was 16, I was watching friends go out, have fun, get cars, and enjoy being kids, while I was lonely and depressed, and no matter where I went, I felt like an outsider. During Christmas, my foster parents would get some clothes for me, but then their biological kids would get new phones and computers. For my 17th birthday, my friends were getting cars, while I didn't even get a cake, and no one wished me a happy birthday. During the seasons of joy, I spent more time depressed than any other time of the year. While everyone spent time with their families, I was alone and feeling awkward, like I was invading someone else's family. But I would never say anything because I didn't want to be selfish or ungrateful. But that's what's wrong with the system. These foster parents need to understand how desperately these foster teens need to be loved and cared for and to feel normal and live a happy life filled with people who honestly care about them. I am one of the few who succeed. I was in 8 different placements before I aged out. I always tried my best to succeed in school and to break the cycle. I tried to be on my best behavior and make the right choices. But as every teenager does, I made mistakes. I had hardships no one should ever face, especially not alone. So here today, I want to start a change so all foster youth can feel loved, live a happy life, and find success. Thank you.
Thank you, Devon. And so if it's okay with you guys, can we just do all of their testimonies and then ask questions? Okay.
I can start? Okay. Good afternoon. Hello, my name is Tawny Frazier. Thank you all for your time. I want to start by saying thank you all for the wonderful work each of you has done to improve the foster care system and the passion some of you have to want to continue to strive for more. As I begin, I want to say that children don't get to choose who they are born to. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. Some get lucky, others don't. For the first 9 years of my life, I experienced the hardships of poverty and what it means to be on welfare. I was born to a mom and dad who were both deaf, neither could speak. My mother suffered from low self-esteem. My father was absent for these years. My mother was raising us by herself. When my father appeared, he was an alcoholic and an abuser who provided no support to me, my mom, or my siblings. At 11, I experienced a life of emotional, mental, and physical abuse at the hands of my father, which led me down a path of darkness and strength. I remember being hungry. Often, I remember opening the refrigerator and only seeing butter. I would just eat it. At 13, my life reached a turning point. Peace and survival became my mission. I knew I had to speak up because I knew my mom and my sisters couldn't. I made the decision to reveal the truth about my abuse and the death threats made by my father in an essay in my 7th grade English class. I had enough. I am grateful that my teacher read it and heard me. I knew a social worker would come to me. They had before when I was 8. But before I lied. I lied because I was scared of being hit, of losing my family, or being killed. But fear gave way to survival. My decision to reveal the truth caused my family to be torn apart. My sisters and I were taken into foster care in October of 2010. We were split up and my father went to jail. By my father being in jail, I allowed my sisters and I to be reunited with my mother. But my father was released only after 18 months. My siblings and I could not stay in the home as my father, so my mother made the choice to take him instead of us. That remains a hard pill to swallow to this day. But here's the thing. Whether I was in care or at home, it was hard. At home, my sisters and my mom blamed me for speaking out, for revealing the family secret. It was all my fault. This affected me in really big ways. I engaged in self-harm for too many years to count. In care, it was hard because I moved a lot. I went to 6 different schools in 4 years. The constant moving made me feel unstable, unwanted, and unhuman. I felt alone. I was alone. I remained in foster care till I aged out in 2015. As time went on, I learned to overcome adversity and accepted the truth about my upbringing. Today, these are the things that I know. I did the right thing to bring my family to safety. I no longer engage in self-harm because I am good and strong and worthy. My blue hair is the outward expression of that. I want the world to see my joy. I know that walking the world alone for 17 years is a feeling that I never want another foster youth to experience. And because of the FYI program and this opportunity, I now know that those who work for the Department of Children and Family Services have a really hard job and the work is complicated. I experienced 5 to 6 different social workers and none of them could help me. I also know that our jobs and our work is not over. I believe everyone can make a difference. I am currently a senior at Southeastern Louisiana University, and because of my experience, I took a job to where I could provide support like I wish I had while I was in care. I am a peer support specialist for a nonprofit organization called Louisiana Methodist of Children and Family Services. I currently mentor former and current foster youth. I now know having a mentor really matters to these kids because their whole persona changes and they do not feel like they're alone once I did. The smile on their faces knowing that someone is out there for them and willing to advocate on their behalf adds a sense of tender love and care that every foster youth should have. Every kid in care should have someone there for them, and none of us should rest until they're due. I would like to close with a quote. Transformation is not 5 minutes from now. It is a present activity. In this moment, you can make a different choice. And it's these small choices and successes that builds up over time to help cultivate a healthy self-esteem and image. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. And so, Annika, is that correct?
Yes.
Put up if you need to.
My name is Annika Carter. I'm nervous.
That's okay. You're going to do well.
This might be the hardest thing I've ever had to do. This might be the hardest thing I've ever done. I came into care when I was 16 years old. I actually asked the judge to place me in foster care. My home was hard. I was afraid. I stayed in care until I was 18, and then I aged out. That sounds easy to say. Aged out. What did it really mean? For me, it meant that on my 18th birthday, when I was a senior in high school, my foster mom dropped me off at my 18-year-old boyfriend's house, where he lived with his mom. The thing is, his mom wouldn't let me stay, so I couch surfed. I had no money, no job, no family, and really no chance. This week has been a bit intimidating. My fellow interns are doing so much. They are beating the odds. I don't think I am, at least not yet. Within 3 months of aging out, I was pregnant.
Alright, girl. Take it. Here's some napkins if you need it, girl.
I have a beautiful 4-year-old daughter because of it. It was not my plan for myself. I had no money, no job, no family, and seemingly no way forward. Last year, my daughter and I have lived in a battered women's shelter and a Salvation Army. I am now 23 years old, and these past years have been hard. It's taken me 5 years to create a sense of stability. But I am now on my own, working full-time at Domino's, affording my own apartment and raising a beautiful, smart, and loving baby girl. My job pays $11 an hour. If it paid only minimum wage, I don't know where I would be. And I really don't know where I would be without my CASA worker, Miss Joy. I wish I would have known her before I aged out. Being in foster care is hard. Coming from a troubled background is harder. But the hardest is the world dropping you when you're 18. I wasn't ready. Watching the legislature work this week and knowing that there are people in power who care about kids like me is a bit overwhelming. I never knew. I really never knew. And being with Secretary Walters and the team at DCFS has made me realize that there are big people fighting for kids like me. Thank you, Senator Barrow, for allowing me to tell a bit of my story. I know it will help kids in the future, and thanks for sponsoring the extended foster care bill. You may never know how many lives you will change because of it, but trust me, you will change lives. Thank you.
Hello. It's really hard to follow up. So my name is Ian Marks, and I am a rising junior at the University of Notre Dame, majoring in political science and minoring in public policy. My face is likely familiar, and that's because I testified last year before this committee about my experience in the foster care system. In my testimony, however, I felt like I gave an underwhelming explanation about CASA, and I did not fully illustrate the major influence that organization really had in my life. When a child is placed in foster care in New Orleans, they're assigned a CASA worker. I'm not sure if this is true in all of the state, but it should be. My first CASA worker's name was Stephen Hendry, and I met him only a few days after I was placed in foster care in 2011. I started to gradually develop a sense of trust in him over 4 years. He had brought me gifts such as candy, a baseball glove, and even a baseball. Even during my freshman year of high school, around the exam time near Christmas, he got me a dog that I actually still have to this day. He is a Maltipoo. His name is Bobby, and I love him so much. That was the most generous thing anyone has done for me, and I started to develop a sense of normalcy as a foster youth. As a child with an incarcerated father for second-degree murder and a deceased mother, all I wanted was to live a normal life. Unfortunately, my CASA worker passed in 2015, and then I received another CASA worker named Karen Buck. I talked about Karen Buck in my testimony from last year. She encouraged me to explore different colleges and to apply for scholarships. And because of her, I became a posse finalist and received a full scholarship to the University of Notre Dame.
Good job.
If not for her, I would not be at Notre Dame today, and I would not be who I am. Before I aged out, CASA even gave me the supplies needed for Notre Dame, like notebooks and a mini fridge. CASA has gave me a sense of normalcy, helped me get a full ride to college, the tools for college, and so much more. However, some kids don't have CASAs. I was lucky to have two great ones. An investment in CASA is one of the best investments you really can make. I would like to harken back to a year ago. I originally testified last year about my experience in foster care with two other people in the FYI program. When my fellow FYIs and I testified about extending the age of foster care from 18 to 21, you passed a limited extended care bill. 1 year later today, you are now close to passing an extensive and comprehensive extended foster care bill that allows you to continue utilizing the foster care system's resources to gently ease into independent living and easier access to higher education. Thank you so much for listening to all three of us. You can tell that we've all had our own stories. And thank you so much for acting. Seeing the progress you've made in a simple year was something to come back to. I was very surprised and couldn't be more delighted. And finally, thank you for believing in us.